Hey everyone, so I am here today to talk to you about discovery sessions. So discovery sessions are very, very complex. That is why I kind of have, a couple different things in here as it pertains to discovery sessions. Some things will work for you, some things won't. So the most important thing is for you to remember that you have to do what feels good for you. You have to make this process as easy and enjoyable for you as possible, because if it becomes something that's difficult, if it becomes something that's hard, if it becomes something that you feel like you can't master, you're going to end up flopping, and it's going to take a lot of mess ups, and it's going to take a lot of mistakes, and it's going to take a lot of screwing up some calls before you can get this down pat. Now, this is something that is literally, you are going to get better with practice. Like, that is it. So if you have to connect with some of the other girls in the group, if you have to get one of your friends, if you have to get some of your other peers to help you with the discovery sessions, that is a fantastic idea, because I want you guys to feel so confident when you're on these calls that you are closing them like hotcakes. Now, technically, in the industry standard is about 1 in 4 for a close. I have clients that will close, 2 of 4, that will close about 50% or 60%. One of my mentors closes at 80%. So it really just depends on who you are, how you conduct the calls, the people that you're actually getting on the calls, and just the entire process itself. And it's really important for you to understand what your closing rate is. It's really important for you to understand how good you are at this or how not good you are at this, because this is how you're going to set your goals. So if you feel like you need to book 4 clients in a month and your closing rate is only at 50%, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say only at 50% because that's really well. But your closing rate is at 50%, then that means you need to talk to at least 8 people in order to book those 4 clients. Now, you may want to do a little bit more. You may want to do like 10 just to make sure that you can book those 4 clients. On the other hand, if your closing rate is more at like a 25%, that means you're going to need to talk to at least 12 people each month. So it's really important for you to understand where you're at with this and how good you are at this. What I want to talk about in this video, and I wanted to do this face-to-face because, like I said, this is one of the most crucial things, and even though I am not a quote-unquote sales expert, I have done literally probably about 300 discovery sessions, and I've screwed so many up. I've done amazingly well at some, and some just kind of fell flat. So I want to just tell you about a couple different things that I've gone through, and in this video in particular, I really want to focus on the mindset and more of kind of the emotional pieces of the discovery session that is going to help you. And I'll talk a little bit about the structure, but for the most part, I really feel like this is a mental thing. This is a mindset thing. And if you can get your head around it, you will kill it. You'll do amazing. So, discovery session. The point of a discovery session is to discover. That's why I love the word. I love the name of the call, because it really is to discover if this potential person or this potential client is a good fit for you, and if they are a good fit or if they are a good fit for you, or if you're a good fit for them. That's what it is. It's a discovery process. So if you start to look at it that way, you can start to take a little bit of the stress and the pressure off. Think of it as like dating. Think of it as you're going out on a date, you're meeting somebody for the first time. You're not just going to, for the most part, you're not going to automatically just know as soon as you see the person that they're the one for you. I mean, maybe some people will, because they do talk about love at first sight, but for the most part, you want to get to know the person a little bit, make sure that it's a good fit, make sure that you guys are going to jive. And if you go into the discovery session really understanding that and really feeling that, I think you'll do a lot better than going into the discovery session thinking this is a sales call, or how am I going to close this deal, or I need this client. So it really is all about mindset. It's all about the reframe, how you're going into this call. If you go into this call very confidently, if you go into this call knowing that, you can help this person, then you will be a lot better off. So I think that is definitely my number 1 tip, is to just be confident. Be confident in your offer. Be confident in what you have for that potential client. And that's why we've done so much of this, groundwork and foundational work up until this point, because you have to know this stuff. You have to know what their biggest struggle is. You have to know what their pain point is. You have to know what is so bad that they are willing to pay for it. And then all you have to do is once you get them on the phone, you position yourself as the solution to the problem. It's really that simple. Another reframe that I love to do when I'm on a discovery call, and this is something that I did most recently, probably in the last 6 months or so, is instead of thinking like, am I going to get this person to say yes to me? I would do a total reframe and just say, you know, I'm hiring this person. So instead of feeling like they were interviewing me and interrogating me and asking me all these questions, I would do it the opposite way. And I would say, you know what? Is this person good enough for my program? Is this person somebody that I want to help? Is this person somebody that I want to spend the next 3 or 4 or 6 months with? So do that reframe. Instead of thinking that they're going to hire you or choose you amongst other coaches, look at it as you're hiring them. Okay. And we talk a lot in the industry also about firing clients and things like that, which we'll get into a little bit later, but think of it that way. You're hiring them. They're not hiring you. And when you do that reframe, it's just so much different because it turns it really, like I said, from a sales call to a conversation, a powerful conversation where you're just discovering if you two are a good fit. Also be open to the fact that you may not always be a good fit. There have been plenty of times where I've gotten on the phone with someone and I knew instantly, I knew within the first 5 or 10 minutes that this was not an ideal client. So, you know, go into it with that openness. Go into it not thinking that everyone is going to be a good fit. And the reason you want to do this is because you don't want to work with people that aren't a good fit. You don't want to work with people that aren't your ideal client, because if you do, that usually leads to a lack of self-esteem, a lack of confidence because you feel like you're not doing your job, or they're not getting the results because it's not a good fit. So make sure that when you go into this call, you don't go into the call with desperation. You don't go into the call thinking, I've got to book this client, because if they're not the right client and you book them, you will regret it. So one of the next things is to detach from that outcome. So just like I was talking about, be open to the fact that not everyone is going to be your ideal client. But at the same time, if it is, don't be so attached. Don't be so like, I gotta get this person, I gotta get this client. That desperate energy, that negative energy will show. They will feel it, I'm telling you. If you go into the call like, I got this, you know, I got this. If this person's the right fit, I'm booking them, and you have that confidence, that will show as well. So you don't need to be cocky or arrogant or anything like that, but just knowing that you have something that can help someone, and you know with confidence that you can close that deal. That's how I want you guys to go into these calls. Not with the desperation, not with the I need to book this client, not with the fact of this is the only call that I have the entire month, but really going in there with confidence and knowing that if this is a good fit, if this is someone that you can help, that you will be able to close the deal. Next, you will get a PDF, or there is a PDF below this video with your dream client checklist. So this is a little bit different than the ideal client avatar. So, you know, the ideal client avatar, we go into really the characteristics and the traits and, you know, all of that good stuff with our potential clients. With a dream client checklist really is what type of person do you want to work with? So think of it again, like I said, with the dating, you know, do you want this person to be charismatic? Do you want this person to be extroverted, introverted? Do you want this person to be outgoing? Do you want this person to be ambitious? Do you want this person to be tenacious? Think about all of those qualities that you would love to work with someone on. And a really good thing that you can do if you've worked with past clients before is think about that one client that you had that you absolutely loved, that you would literally want 10 of her. So think about that. Think about who that person is and have your checklist handy. Have your checklist handy when you are on these calls, when you're approaching these calls. Again, then you're kind of looking at it like, hey, I'm the boss. Am I going to hire this person? Is this person going to be a good fit for me and my business, or are they not? So you want to make sure that they fall into, you know, that dream client, because I'm telling you, and I'm saying it again, If you end up working with people that you do not like or that aren't a good fit or that are just going to be a pain in the you-know-what, you will regret it. So a lot of new coaches and a lot of new entrepreneurs do this in the beginning because we are at some point a little bit desperate. We want that first client. We want, to be booked solid. So we end up taking on clients that aren't for us. So I'm just reiterating now that I really want you guys to not do that. I really want you guys to rise above that and wait for that perfect client. Wait for the one that you know that you can definitely help and that you will really get amazing results from. And that's the thing, because your clients are a reflection of you. So if you are able to get a client that you know that you can get results, you're going to get great testimonials. They're going to talk about you. On the other hand, if you end up taking somebody that's not the perfect fit, they're not going to get the results. They're going to resent you. They might talk about you to their friends. So this is just such an important reason why you need to make sure that you're working with the perfect people. So let's talk a little bit about the structure of the call, which I know I talked about in the other audio, but I just want to reiterate because it's really simple. And I think that sometimes we make this more complicated than it has to be. And there's a reason why I don't give out scripts. You do have the PDF where I talk about, here are some things that you can say, here are some things that you can ask, but I'm opposed to giving out actual scripts for discovery sessions because they don't work. The script works for the person that created it. That's what worked for them. So if I were to give you my script, it may not even sound anything like you. There may be words in there that you would never say. There may be things in there that you would never want to explore. So that is why I don't particularly give you guys scripts, but more of an outline, more of a, structure that you can follow and that you can tailor and make your own. So obviously the first thing you're going to do is a welcome. Hello, how are you? I'm excited to be here with you today. Only say that if you really are excited to be with them today. If you're not, then, hey, how are you? Let's get the show on the road, So welcome, first thing, very easy. Second thing, set the stage. Let them know what the call is for. Let them know how much time you have. Let them know what's going to happen on the call. This positions you as the expert. This positions you as somebody who's not just getting on the phone with them to have a chat and so that they can pick your brain. You really want to set the stage for the call. Let them know, I have about 30 minutes today, and I understand that the reason we're on the phone today is to see if we're a good fit to work together. Is that correct? You want to make sure that you guys are on the same page, and you want to do this early on in the call. You don't want to find out 15, 20, 30 minutes into the call that they just wanted to pick your brain, or that they're not ready to work with a coach, or that they just wanted to ask you a question. So get on the same page, set the stage, make sure that you are positioning yourself as the authority in this situation. I'm telling you, I've had clients that literally came to me and they told me, I loved the way that you handled the call. I love the way that you just, it was very matter of fact. This is what the call is about. If not, don't waste my time. And I think that we need to have a little bit of authority when it comes to that. And I understand that sometimes we may feel like, we're going to shut people out, or, that we might make people mad if we're like that. But, you really have to claim the authority because this is your time, and time is money. And you don't want to be on the phone with people who are just completely not right for you. Now, that is something, like I said, you will discover, but for the most part, you can weed those people out with your discovery call process, and your intake process, which we'll talk about in a bit. Next, you want to go into what's not working for them. So why are they on the phone with you? Why did they even pick up the phone? Why did they schedule this call? Why are they reaching out now? What is not working for them? Next, you want to talk about the vision, okay? What is their vision for their business? What is their vision for their life? What do they want it to look like? So obviously they're here, they're at point A, which is their struggle or whatever they're at that made them want to make this call in the first place. Then you want to find out what their point B is. Where do they want to be? And essentially what you're doing is you're bridging the gap. You're just saying, okay, I'm going to take you from point A to point B, and you position yourself as the expert. A couple other things I want to note here. You definitely want to discover the urgency. So why now? One of my favorite questions that I like to ask in the very beginning, because I feel like this sets the stage and they end up selling themselves throughout the entire call, is why me? Why now? So you're finding out, first of all, why they were attracted to you. Why did they even make this call with you? Next, you want to find out why now. Why not wait a couple more months? Why not wait 6 months? Why not try to do it on their own for the next year? Find out why me, why now from the beginning, and the rest of the call is going to be a breeze, because essentially they're going to be selling themselves. So urgency. Why now? Why do they need to do this right now? Next is the commitment level. How committed are they to making these changes? How committed are they to this vision that they just told you about? Those are two very important things, because if not, it leaves that door wide open for them to say, okay, well, I'll let you know, or maybe in a couple months I'll reach out to you. You want them to make that commitment pretty much on the phone. Now, I understand that some people do need to make, decisions. They need to sleep on it. They need to check with their husbands. And that is all fine and dandy. That's fantastic. But you really want to get that commitment. You really want to get them to say yes on the phone, even if they don't pay on the phone. I mean, preferably they pay on the phone, but, at least having that level of commitment. Because once people go off and they decide, or they go off and they say, I need to think about it. That I need to think about it land typically means I'm going to go talk myself out of it. I'm going to go let my fear take over and allow me to say no to this opportunity that I know is right for me. Okay. So once you've gotten to them to that point where you know what their vision is, you know what's wrong, you know that they have an urgent need for this, you know that they are fully committed, then typically at this point is where you would say to them, would you like to hear how I work with my clients and what we would do together as we start our work together? People always say yes. I don't think I've ever had anybody say no. So you just want to make sure, again, you're right on the same page. So before you just start going into your program, make sure that they want to hear from you. Make sure that they want to know what you have to say. So in this part, you don't want to go off into la-la lands. You don't want to go off and start just rambling and losing them. You want to make this short and impactful. So for me, what I did for the longest time, and I still do it every now and then, is I actually had this written out. I had this portion written out, here's what I do, here's how I work, here's the results that I can get with my clients, and have that so that when you're talking to them, you are exuding that confidence that this is what I do, this is how I can help you, this is what I offer you. And when you have confidence in that piece, it just makes it so much stronger, right? They're just going to feel that like, wow, this woman can help me. This person can totally solve my problem. Make sure that it's relevant. So what I mean by that is, for me, for example, I work with my clients in multiple different ways. I help my clients with their sales. I help my clients with their programs and packages. I help them with their marketing. I help them with their launching. I help them with visibility. So there's so many different things that I do. But when I'm talking to someone and if they tell me that their specific problem is confidence and visibility, what I want to say here, I want to focus on those main problems that they have. So I could talk about packages and programs. I talk about launching. Because I do all that. But essentially what I want to do here is focus on those main issues that they told me that they had. So you want to make sure that you are taking notes so that you know exactly what those struggles are and what those big things that they need solved. And that's where you need to position yourself. I can solve your problem. I can help you with your visibility. I can help you with your confidence and your mindset. That's what they're going to want to hear. That's what they're looking for. Yeah, they may want the launching and, the programs and the packages and all of that stuff. But what they really want and need is that confidence and the visibility. So that's what you want to talk about when you talk about how you work with your clients and the results that you can get. Next is to, when you're talking about the results, make sure that it is descriptive. So you don't just want to say, I help my clients with copywriting, or I help my clients get visible, or I help you grow your list. So that's all fine and great. Yes, you can do that. Lots of other people can do that. So what you want to do is you want to back it up with some description. You want to make it really strong. So you want to say like, I offer professional copywriting so that as soon as your clients land on your page, they know exactly that they want to work with you and they are ready to go before they even book a call with you. I help my clients with visibility so that they can get put in front of their ideal clients so they can attract clients easier and make more money. I help my clients with their launch process so that it's easy and effortless and they know exactly what to do and when. So you just want to make sure you make it a little bit more descriptive. Just sounds so much better that way, and it's also going to bring in that emotion for them. And every time I talk about things in this way, people are like, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. Which brings me to my next point is once you're done that, get back on the same page with them. I always ask, it's just such a simple question. How does that sound? Okay, and that's where you're going to get really you're going to know where they are at that point. You know, almost everybody I talk to, at least the people that I book, you know, after I've given my description and talk about what I do and how I help people, they're ready to go. They are like, yes, that sounds amazing. So after that, typically what I ask is, do you have any other questions? Do you have any other questions about that? And that is when typically the price comes up. So when I'm talking about how I help my clients and, you know, the results, I don't ever talk about the price. So I don't talk about my program. I don't say, you know, it's 8 weeks and like all this stuff and it's $10,000. I don't even go into that. I talk about the results. The results are what's going to get them to want to buy. So that's what you need to focus on. So how does that sound? It sounds amazing, Jen. It sounds wonderful. Great. Do you have any other questions? Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about the program? Can you tell me how long it is? What the cost is? Once you've gotten them into that place where they're emotionally invested and they know and feel like you're the one that's for them, that's when you can talk about the price. You want to make sure that they are pretty much at a yes before you talk about the price. If not, they're going to use that price as an excuse, period, end. Whether it's $10,000 or whether it's $1,000. If they're not committed, they're not ready, if they're not feeling aligned with the work, if they're not at a yes and you talk about the price, they're automatically going to use that as an excuse because that is the easiest thing to do. It is so easy for someone to just say, I can't afford it, right? What are you going to do? Are you going to go say, well, let me see your bank account. Let me see what's in there. Let me check your wallet. You're not going to do that. You're going to accept that as truth. You're going to accept that as fact. So make sure that they are at a yes. Make sure that you guys are ready, that you're excited before you talk about the price, okay? Another thing I love to do is get that commitment right then and there. Even if they're not going to whip out their credit card and pay, if you have to send them an invoice, if you have to tell them to, you know, go to your website and click a link, what I love to do is get them on the schedule. Great, we can start as early as next week. Are you ready to get started? That's when they're going to give you the yes. Sure, that's perfect. You know, let's set it up for Tuesday. You know, it's kind of like you want to make sure that you're getting that commitment level from them because like I mentioned earlier, as soon as they go off to think about it, and I've had this happen, you know, to myself, and I've had clients that come to me and they're like, I had somebody, she was an absolute yes on the phone, everything was set, and I sent her the invoice and nothing. Haven't heard from her. Hasn't signed the invoice, hasn't signed the hasn't sent the money, hasn't sent signed the contract, and it sucks, right? Because we feel like we've been duped, right? We spent all this time with this person. We felt like it was a great fit. They were a gung-ho, they were a yes, and then they disappear. So you want to make sure that you are locking them in either by taking the deposit right over the phone or setting up their schedule and or setting up their first call. So you definitely want to do one of those two things or both in order to make sure that they're not going to go off into that la-la land and talk themselves out of working with you. So another good question I like to ask too is if somebody's kind of iffy or if somebody is maybe thinking, I gotta ask my husband or I'm just not sure or the money's kind of high. Is there anything else you need to know to make the perfect decision for you? And this is something that we'll talk about actually when we talk about the follow-up is, you know, you want to just follow up with them right away if you don't get that yes on the phone and help them through that decision process. You want to help them really close the gap here. What the last thing you want to do, and this comes from experience, the last thing you want to do is like leave that open. You don't want to leave that gap open. You want to close the gap. You want to make sure that it's either a yes or no. And it's going to be so helpful for both of you, not just you in the way of just feeling relief, like, yeah, I know it's a yes, or I know it's a no and I don't need to follow up, or it just wasn't a perfect fit. But you want to make sure that that gap is closed like pretty much that day, even if you can't do it on the phone, which I would suggest. at least with the follow-up that you're sending them that day, you want to make sure that you close the gap. Is it a yes? Is it a no? And then that way you can, figure out what you're going to do from there as far as the follow-up. So, two more things I want to say. I did mention earlier about the taking notes. So important. Make sure that you're taking notes because, like I said, you want to be able to connect with them. You want to be able to let them know that you've been listening. So if they talk about something, I've been stressed out and I'm stressed at work and, I just, I come home and I just feel all this stress with my husband. And then you go back and you're like, oh, well, I help people with anxiety and, I can help you with those anxious thoughts and those anxious feelings. They're not going to feel like you heard them. They're going to feel like you're off with your own agenda because you're not using their words. Make sure that you use their words. If they say stressed, then say stress back to them. If they say anxious back to them. If they say, I want more clients, say, I want more, clients back to them. If they talk about freedom, that's what you want to talk about. So you want to mirror everything that they're talking about because that makes them feel like they're really, really connected to you. And sometimes the calls go long and sometimes your memory is crazy and sometimes you just have so much on your mind. So taking the notes is crucial. And the next thing, which I'll also attach here, is your intake form. This is so important. This, number one, helps with the commitment level. So if you're just having people sign up for calls and you have no idea anything about them and they just have to sign up a call, number one, they're probably not going to show up. Okay, because they're not even invested. All they had to do was sign up on a calendar. It took them 2 seconds. If you're actually having them fill out an intake form, this kind of shows like, hey, this is serious. I got to fill out this form before I even book my call, or I have to fill out this form before I get on the phone with this woman. It just helps with that commitment level right off the bat. Second thing that pre-form is going to do, or that intake form, is going to help you know before you even talk to them what their problem is, what their pain point is. This will help you prepare for the call a lot better. You want to be prepared for these calls. And you don't want to waste time on the call with stuff that you could have asked them in the intake form. So this is so important. If you're not doing this, I suggest you do that. This is a priority. Before anybody gets on a discovery session with you, they are filling out an intake form, period, and it needs to happen. So that is it for this video. Like I said, there's going to be tons of resources for you, and I want you to just be open. I want you to just not want to follow somebody else's script or somebody else's way of doing it, but just really take in this like mindset stuff, take in this emotional stuff, take in the foundations of like what this call is about and how it's going to feel for you, how you're going to conduct the call, how you're going to go about, doing these calls, because it's so important for you to just feel amazing when you're on these calls, okay? So that is it for this video. Check out the resources below, and I'll see you in the next one.